For those who don't know, I'm just going to do a quick intro to Kim. Kim has been in the affiliate space for a long time, and just a personal story that I wanted to share. Kim's been helping me from build Saral since before Saral even existed. So I am really pumped to have Kim Biddle on with us here today to share all of the insights that she's been sharing with me over the years, all of the raw, honest truths that she's been giving, and to share that with all of you. So really excited, Kim, to have you on and to be doing this today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. We've known each other for a long time. I also want to point out that my co-founder is here, Lisa.
Yes.
So she and I both run Clutch Affiliate together, along with a few other team members. So we'll shout out to Lisa.
Yes.
Um,
Nice to see Lisa as well here. So, Kim, let's dive in. I have some notes here, and I've basically done a thorough stalking of you on social media, and I have some questions for you. So, I think in one of your LinkedIn posts, you said, and it's kind of like the theme of this webinar also, you said, and I quote, if you're not building a community around your brand, activating them for your campaigns, and then monetizing that community, what are you doing? So you're really like emphasizing the importance of building a community in one of your recent LinkedIn posts. So tell me more about that. Add a little bit of color to that. Why should brands even be building a community and listening to us for the rest of this webinar?
yeah, and I think like when I think about that question, I think like the maybe the better question is why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Like, where's the harm? Like, it can only help you, especially CPG brands. So, Clutch Affiliate, we basically work primarily with CPG brands. And I think like this is absolutely crucial in this day and age to have an army, to have advocates that are talking about your brand. I don't think any brand is, I don't know anybody that would be like, oh, darn, I have 100 people like talking about me. That's, what a bummer. I think, whoa, I went to this retail buyer and let him know that we have 100 people strong, like talking about us online and providing social proof. Like that's what you want. You want that. You want to build a community. I mean, community can look a lot of different ways, but if you're not building a community or thinking about it, you should 100% start right after this webinar, right away.
So you've built all these communities so far. What's the most impactful things or results that you've seen from?
I think what Yash was going to ask is what's one of the most impactful things that we've seen come out of building community. And I think on the short term ROI end, that's we do short term and long term ROI. That's how we look at it. So on the short term, what we're looking at is brand awareness, especially for those that are just emerging brands. So it depends on where you are in your journey as a brand. Are you emerging? Are you a startup? Are you launching? Or are you pretty established? People know who you are. So I think that when you look at your community, or you have someone helping build your community, these are really important things to understand. Because if you're a startup, and I want to set some realistic expectations for startups or emerging brands, just please understand no one may have heard of you. So you have to then you have to break that ceiling a little bit where, hey, I'm XYZ brand and I'd love to put a sample in your hand. Like that's one step. The next step is getting them the sample, having them try it. Do they like it? Is it a good product? There's so many different things, but I think on the short term, you're looking at UGC, brand awareness, starting to build relationships and building your community for future use. And then also in the longer term, obviously, they're driving hopefully tons of people to your website and then sales. I mean, sales is always the goal, right? But I think what I want people to know too is that sales can sometimes be a longer play. People need to be conditioned. They need to condition their audiences. They need to introduce it. People need to see things 3 times, right? 4 times. How many times are we online and we're like, oh, that's a great ad, but I'm not going to buy it right now. But then, man, you got me. You got me on the third or fourth one, just putting that face cream on. Like, I can't take it. I think I'm going to have to buy it. Click, so it's human psychology, really.
Building these communities is important. It has great results that brands can get out of it. I think this leads me to one of the audience questions. I think it was from Angela. I don't know if Angela is here in with us in the guest room, but basically her question was, how do you keep this community motivated, right? And we see this across social media and across there's so much advice out there, like build an affiliate program, ambassador program, paid deals, TikTok shop. Some people say just do purely seeding. And so it's just so many incentive structures. What would your advice be for a brand that's maybe just getting started or has a little bit of a community going? What are some of these incentive structures that you've seen work for brands before?
So there's a lot of different strategies, right? So there's like that seeding strategy where it's like mass products being sent out, no expectations, right? A lot of people do that. You can also surely do that in conjunction with building a community. I mean, there's lots of, you should be doing many different things. You should be testing and you should be learning, validating. You should be doing lots of different things. To keep your community motivated, the one thing is consistent communication. You can't onboard people to your platform, whatever it might be, or your whatever it is, spreadsheet, whatever you're using. Hopefully it's a platform, but you can't onboard them and just be like, "Hey, hi, here's your welcome email and a gift," and they don't hear from you. So what we do with a lot of our clients is we run monthly missions, we have challenges. We try to, when we have that community built, we try to pair it with the marketing initiatives that the brand has going, kind of like having them help promote those marketing initiatives, whatever they might be, whether it's a sale, whether it's a new product drop, whether we just have a straight up sales contest. But you need to be incentivizing them in ways that you can think of it like a sales team. They want to be incentivized with, they want a little rah-rah, they want communication. So communication is really, really key. And designing a program, being creative, being compelling, look at what your competition is doing. What are they doing? They doing it better than you? Because if they are, you better start doing it better, or you might create something a little better. Might take a page out of their book and make it your own.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about challenges. I think you skimmed through it a little bit in your answer, but you said something like you do challenges or missions. Can you add a little bit more context to that? I haven't heard most people talk about that.
So a challenge, a mission, whatever you might want to call it, is activating the community for a common goal. So again, it could be Black Friday, it could, would be a sale, right? So let's put sale over there. It could be you just dropped in Sprouts and you need your community, those people that are living in and around a Sprouts or a Walmart or Whole Foods. Let's say if you are a retail brand, then you might want them to go in and make a video for you to show you on shelf. And you might compensate them a little bit and then have them actually pick that product up. So, or, simply if you're not in retail, that's of course totally fine. You can drive them, you can have contests like sales contests, leaderboards, just keeping it really fresh. Maybe there's a really special sale that you like, hey, we're gonna have a sales contest and we're gonna give you guys this bundle over here of products that only you can promote. So it's just designing missions that keep people engaged and interested, and they come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. Maybe it's just simply making a reel. We have a peanut butter company that we work with. We run missions every single month for them. And sometimes it's like, show us your meal prep, obviously using the peanut butter, or make lunch, do a make lunch with me instead of a get ready with me, make lunch with me. So there's lots of different things that, we try to come up with and be creative to keep people interested and engaged and to get what we want too for the brand and what kind of content that brand's looking for. Or if anybody has any questions, like, love to, if you want to pop on camera and we can have a chat, or if you just want to put your question in the chat, we can address it.
Someone asked, how do you get your affiliates to continue sharing on a long-term basis?
Communication, making sure you're asking them to do it. So this is definitely not something where you set your community up and they're on autopilot. Now, in the beginning, I'll say this, there's time, energy, foundation building that takes more of your time. But once you get your community set, light recruiting, but you have to keep engaging with them. So a suggestion would be to set up a communication cadence like, okay, we're going to talk to our affiliates / ambassadors 2 times each month. And then we're going to drop a newsletter. In that newsletter, it's going to have news about what we're doing, a leaderboard maybe, highlighting some ambassador content. So create a community you'd want to be a part of is definitely what I would suggest. But again, it's communicating, and it's like a friend. If you don't talk to a friend for a while, it's like not out of sight, out of mind. So you definitely want to you want to keep yourself at the forefront because they're probably working with other brands too. So if you drop in that communication, then they may move on.
We have two more questions, Kim. One is, how are you finding the best influencers and creators to work with from ACE?
I love this question. This is like the cornerstone question, I feel. Lots of research. So, keywords, come up with some keywords. Um, yeah, so I just went over this in another webinar the other day, and it's a super common question. Where do you find good affiliates? Where do you find good influencers? Anywhere, the obvious places are YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, if it's still around, blogs. Yes, blogs are still relevant. And depending on your product, it could be review sites, but ultimately you want to put together a persona, like who is the ultimate person that you would want to see representing your product, and what does that person look like, and then start to generate some keywords and then start doing your research. We've been able to amass a huge list of people. We're going into our third year right now, so we have thousands of people, and we build lists week over week over week. It's a vetted list, so we're looking for 3% or higher engagement. We're looking for a certain number of followers depending on the brand, micro or macro. So it really does depend on the brand, but you've got to do your research. I'm going to say slow and steady wins the race. You don't have to build it brick by brick. I feel like that's the best way to build a really solid community.
Jeannie had one more question. Where do you set up your communities and how do you communicate with them for the best posting results?
Wait,
Where do
say
you
that
set,
again.
where do you set up your communities and how do you communicate with them for the best posting results?
Well, of course, we set them up on Saral. You have to pick a platform that works for you. Ultimately, you're managing your communities on a platform. Don't attempt it with spreadsheets. Don't attempt to do that. In my humble opinion, I would manage it in a platform. There's lots of platforms out there. Of course, Saral is an amazing platform. It's a CRM. You can do communication in app. You can search for creators there. That's really important too. And let me digress for a second. If you're on the proper platform, they'll have good creator communities that you can pull from. So that's the one that's I missed that portion, and that's really important. Where you can go in and filter all the results and then build lists inside those platforms. What was the second part of that question, Lisa?
It was how do you communicate with them for the best posting results, which kind of leads into the last answer too, like about what you have going on
Well,
as the brand,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I know that both Lisa and I prefer to work in app if possible. I don't really like to work outside an app. I mean, of course, you'll have an email where you communicate with them, but if you can fire off your missions and fire off your communications in app to everyone where it's personalized, that's the ideal situation. I mean, putting together a brief is always a great idea. If you're asking for something specific, then you need to tell them specifically what you want. Nobody's a mind reader, so you need to get specific and granular, and you need to let them know that if it's not met, they don't get paid, or it's not going to be accepted as part of that mission, that piece of content. So, really important to put together creator briefs, especially if you're paying people.
And consistency, consistently communicating, like you were saying.
Right, I have an interesting question for you. Because you've been in the affiliate space for so long, from maybe even before social media affiliates were this popular. Nowadays, there's a new term called influencer affiliate or performance influencer, right? And I think sometimes these are a little bit, one way to think about it is it's an oxymoron because influencers are about influence and affiliates are about performance, versus another way to think about it is that both are sort of merging now, and then influencers can also be performance based affiliates, right? So how do you, as an actual affiliate marketer, right, because a lot of us are new to this, like even I've been doing this only for 3 or 4 years, we've been doing it for a decade or more than that. As somebody who's coming from the real affiliate world, what do you think about influencer affiliates? Where do you think the world is going with all of that?
Well, I mean, I was just talking about this today, actually, on LinkedIn, again with Jean, is a bit about a stack, an affiliate stack. I mean, affiliates come in all shapes and sizes. And what you're talking about, the influencer affiliate, the modern day affiliate, that's influencers that are on TikTok, YouTube, have a blog. But there's other affiliates that people don't sometimes look at either. And that's more on the B2B side, where it's like coupon, cashback, loyalty sites. I'm not advocating that you get together with those types of affiliates unless it's appropriate for your brand, unless it works for you, unless you're highly, highly selective. Something that comes into play is PR affiliate too. If you get placed in listicles, Amazon affiliates, that's another one. So it's like there's this stack, and you have to look at that stack, and in that stack, what's the best combination of those people for you. You should be testing throughout that stack. you should be finding and leaning in with those people that are really performing for you. So there's a lot to know. It's not just an influencer affiliate. I mean, here's the thing, the other biggest question we get all the time. How is an influencer and affiliate different? Okay, well, there is a very stark difference, right? So if you're a straight up affiliate person, you get paid on performance. If you're a straight up influencer, then you get paid for the content that you create, that the brand and on partnerships. Can they be one and the same? Heck yeah. They could totally be one and the same. They could be a hybrid. Hey, influencer, we've been paying you for a little while and you're really driving some traffic. So let's give you some commission and let's back down like our fee that we're paying. Very much a great arrangement. It's so flexible. It's no one program is the same. It's just super duper flexible. You should also have straight up ambassadors in there that maybe get no payment. They just love you. They just, "Hey, I love your brand. I just want to tell people about it. Yeah, maybe I'll get some free product." So the design of a program overall is really important for how it performs.
Got it. Love it. I think this question by Bren in the chat is really maybe a good follow-up to this is generally with now affiliate brands obviously love paying on performance, but influencers, there's another argument which is also fair that, hey, we're creating all this content, it's all this work, we deserve to be paid for it. So a lot of the times when you send outreach, and we get this question in our support and customer calls all the time that, hey, I'm sending outreach, but then people are saying, I want payment for a post and I don't do affiliate. I'm
Yeah,
sure you get this so
all the
much in your work. So how do you sort of tackle that? Brent sort of asked a similar question. How do you demo the value of an affiliate program and get them bought into this incentive structure?
a lot of outreach. You gotta you're gonna first of all you're gonna do a lot of outreach, which it's a numbers game. So it's gonna be a numbers game. You have to have a really compelling pitch too. I'll just say that. You story up front. Don't hard sell me. Don't ask me to be a part of your program right away. So like give me a story, give me something to work with, emotionally connect with me. That's number one. And if you're picking the right people, then they are going to emotionally connect with you on a lot of levels. Like we work with a couple products that are geared towards moms. You have to look at the category that you're going after, the demographic. What drives them? Okay, so that's number one. But I also think like when we come, that happens to us all the time. Hey, we're prioritizing paid relationships. So I really only work on this. Great. Send me your media kit. I'm going to put you over here. We want to let you know that we're prioritizing this relationship right now. We're pretty new. So if you want to do that, we'd love to have you. If not, when we do a paid campaign, we'll be reaching out. So that's how we handle it. And then we just keep going. We just keep going and we just keep outreaching to people that we know. Now, working with micro influencers kind of ensures a little bit more like maybe a 0 to 10K or a 0 to 50K kind of, keeping it there. You're never going to be able to avoid it. You just need to keep going and keep recruiting. And it just becomes a numbers game. I'll tell you that for our peanut butter client, we have 216 affiliate ambassadors, and that took a year to get there. It took a year to get to that. So, and we ran up against a ton of paid people, but you just keep the recruiting engine on. You have to keep it going.
So I think answer to
Yeah.
that question is high volume outreach and compelling pitch, and then just be consistently doing that, and then eventually you will hit the numbers. So I think you said an interesting thing, which Angie will get to your question, but you said an interesting thing where you said it took you about a year to get to a certain number of influencers or affiliates. And I think a lot of the times on social media, you see, hey, I got, 500 influencers to promote me in 3 months, or we made whatever, $2 million in sales with influencers or something like that. And I don't think I've heard you say this on some other podcasts as well, that this isn't necessarily very realistic and it doesn't set the right example for a lot of new brands that are getting into this. So I want you to paint a picture of what realistic is, and what do you think about this sort of rah-rah that goes around on LinkedIn and Twitter about some of these affiliate programs?
Yeah, I see a lot of that, and I think it's great, to toot the horn of the successful partnerships. I think you could be setting yourself up a little bit for like everyone thinking that that's the way it's going to be. Results not typical, right? So it's like, hey, I lost 20 pounds in a month. Results not typical. So, I mean, I think you just need to be really real. You have to be realistic about what your plan is. You have to have a strategy. Like, what does your strategy look like? It could, if it includes other things like ads, which is totally great. If you have other things that you're paying for, that are going to benefit your affiliate program, like that's a thing too. There's, of course, I'm not going to name names, but like I have seen some agencies work on like, hey, just pay me $500 and then we go out, but you have to spend $5,000 on ads. So you're not telling people those things. Like I just think being realistic about what you're going to make, what your average order volume is, like there's so many factors that come into play. Is your website ready to receive people? Like that's the other thing too, like the customer journey, because if that sucks, honestly, you're going to be driving a lot of people to your site and they're going to be bailing. So, um, I just think you have to have your ducks in a row. You have to have things really set up to receive, not only people into your community with a proper onboarding, proper communication. Hey, this is what my product's about, an affiliate guidebook if necessary, education. But then you have to have everything going for you on your to make conversions on your website.
Why don't you touch upon a little bit of that? Under what, maybe interesting question. Under what conditions should a brand not work with influencers? Like, what do you see if some, like, I'm sure you get a ton of inbound. What do you see in a brand on their website or in their marketing team or in their product? And we've seen some disasters happen too at Saral, and I'm happy to share some stories, but then I'm sure you have more. So tell us some situation under which a brand should not work with influencers and maybe focus on something else and get to a point where they're mature enough where influencers or affiliates become a good channel.
Yeah, so okay, so frozen brands, I just no.
Why not?
No, I just think it's expensive. Some beverages, depending on your shipping, like when you're gifting or just any D2C in general, like kind of that I would just say be wary of. Also, I think that your inventory needs to be ready. Do you have 50 gifts that you can send out in the first month? Do you have that? We've run into issues where we had a client and they're like, "Oh, we're sold out." I'm like, what? Like amazing, but like now like we gotta pause the program. Like if we're recruiting and sending some gifts. So I think have your inventory, have enough inventory. Look at your shipping and what does that look like? Is it expensive? Like what do your margins look like? I think your website, again, I'll just go back to that, needs to look good. I mean, somebody came to us and like, okay, I'm ready to start. And I did my website and I looked at it. I'm like, how do I approach this? Because if I'm really honest about it, this person might not want to work with me, but I can't not be. So I'm like, I think it's really scary. The website's scary. Like the people look scary to me. Like I know you're talking about low sugar, but like they look scary. You need to immediately change that. It makes absolutely zero sense. Like if you drive people there, no one's going to understand what you do. I'm like, you might not like me for saying that, but I hope that you change it. And even if you go work with somebody else, like that's fine. But the website's really important. If you want to make conversions, it's got to be ready to go. I think, and also the other thing too, well, no, I mean, if you're just beginning, I mean, obviously you're looking for that social proof, but people are going to go to your Instagram. So I think your socials need to be somewhat built out. It doesn't mean that you can't launch with an affiliate program. It doesn't mean any of that or ambassadors. It just means that have relevant things that people understand like on your socials.
Yeah, I love it. And we've got a few brands that have launched with influencers, and I think you don't, a lot of the times brands think they need, if they want to attract influencers with tens of thousands of followers, they also need to have tens of thousands of followers themselves. But then we've seen that that's pretty much never the case, even if it's a small account with a few hundred followers, but the content is on point. It's like the founder, one of the team members showing behind the scenes, showing the fact that it is actually a new brand and owning up to it.
Right.
I think
Right.
influencers are pretty happy. Actually, you find more better conversions with influencers accepting offers if it is a pre-launch brand because they want to get in on day
Yeah.
zero with these brands, right? Because usually they have like very larger brands reaching out to them. So then this is a little bit of a thrill that they also get that, hey, I get to contribute to a brand that might get really big in the future. Right. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think being like having your story just like, hey, this is who we are. I'm more for beginning brands, we've been involved with many different startups and we're like, hey, we're just starting out. This is really valuable to us. And it is. I mean, authentically it is. So I want to also say to not be transactional. Just be different. Just because this industry can be really transactional at times, very much like just be human and insert your human self into it. You'll get so much out of it. It's relationships. It's relationship building.
Can you give an example of that? Is there a story or something, an incident that you can share? How being more relationship focused has helped you build these influencer programs?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say when Lisa and I go in and answer, I'll get on the phone with people. Like I'll get on the phone. I love a good old-fashioned phone call. Like if I need to hop on the phone with you and you want to talk to me or see me, let's go. Like I'm totally okay with that. Also, show interest or share a little bit about yourself. Like I went into one of the communities. I'm like, hey, you guys should probably know who you're talking to. Like, here I am. My name's Kim. I live outside Philadelphia. I have two teenagers, three dogs, like cold brew, like, just humanizing it a little bit in your communities, getting a little intimate, like not in a weird way, but in a just drawing people in. Because what's going to happen in these communities is you're always going to see the cream rise to the top. You're always going to have your core people that are posting about you, love you. You want to find more of those people, right? But you also want to dig in with those that are digging in with you. You want to reward, you want to like give them accolades, you want to bring them out to your community. So I think it's just, again, it really all goes back to just that's how relationships work.
It,
It's
it
really no
reminds me
different.
it reminds me of
Common
the
sense.
Pura Vida founder, because we did a breakdown of their program, and I think on one of the podcasts he says that he took, I think, his first 100 influencers out for lunches, right? And Pura Vida, as we know, has a really thriving, successful influencer program, and then that's what it took. Right, it's like literally taking everybody out for lunches. Now you don't have to do that. A simple phone call, even if simple things like adding them to some sort of a WhatsApp or a Facebook group and just engaging in there, doesn't even have to be a call.
100%.
Like
Yeah.
even that goes like the baseline, the bar is just so low for building relationships with creators that if you do the bare minimum, like throw them in a WhatsApp group, like that also outperforms and helps you get better deals. We've seen influencers shout out brands without influencers with millions of followers, by the way, shout out brands without being paid for it, and they would otherwise charge tens of thousands of dollars for that promotion. So I think like this is really, really powerful what you're talking about.
And like engaging with their content too. Like if they post about you on Instagram, there's been times where I'm like, how are you not going in and like if I'm not managing your socials, you better be going. First of all, you better follow them. I encourage that, but some people might not. But nowadays, also with how the messaging works on Instagram, like I would absolutely follow your ambassadors. Plus, I think they appreciate that. Um, and
Can they
then I would like
post in messaging too, right? So
Yeah,
because
now it gets lost in your message request. So I've gone in and I'm like, hey guys, you got to do that. You got to move them over there because they just shared about you. And also, you should definitely be commenting and liking and engaging with all the content when they're tagging you. 100%.
Lovely. I think one other idea that's related is to make a page that's dedicated for your affiliates. Some of the brands on Saral do this where they have like brand name affiliates, for example, and it's a private Instagram account
Yeah.
that only follows their affiliates and the affiliates follow them. So they're doing like welcome posts, like hey, welcoming this new person as an ambassador. They're shouting out like top performers. They're doing the whole community management angle just through a Instagram account, and they have like a ambassador of the month, they have giveaways, they do tons of these things, and everything is just through this private account, and it also creates this exclusivity because it's meeting the influencers on the platform which they are on, which is Instagram, and it's a private account, so you only accept follow requests from your influencers. It's like a nice tight-knit community. So I think that's also a great idea, very easy to execute. Like you just create another Instagram account and get
Yeah.
all your influencers on there. So yeah, if anybody wants to
100%.
steal that, do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like Slack, Discord, I've heard of like a lot of different methods, Instagram, Facebook group, another one. Anywhere you can bring them together, I think is a good spot.
Wait, awesome. And
Yeah.
then let me, on that thread, I want to ask you about more. What are some more misconceptions? So we spoke about unrealistic expectations, right? What are some misconceptions or myths do you see flying around in the space that brands hop on calls with you with and say, hey, we want sales in month 2 and it should change the face of our business? Or like any myths that you see that you want to warn brands against believing in?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to performance marketing, affiliate marketing, again, you're going to learn a lot. I think you have to come in with very realistic expectations. I would stay away from people that promise you the moon and the stars. Yeah, we're going to get you 5x on your ROAS. Yeah, we're going to get you that. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Maybe if you're like Annie's, I don't know, maybe for Justin's, like, okay. But if you're not an established brand and you're just rising up, I mean, you have to treat brands and meet them where they are too. I just think it's some people have come to us to be like, yeah, listen, I gotta have like $5,000 in sales. And, I'm like, we're probably maybe not your people. So that's wonderful and great. And I wish you the best. But like, I'm not saying it can't happen. I definitely don't want to say that because listen, like I we are I'm competitive. I want to win. I want to get you there. I want to get you sales 100%. And I will never shy away from that. But I also don't want you to be disappointed if that happens and you need to know that that's possible. So you need to set yourself up. The biggest thing I can say is that people do not build a proper foundation and then they have to go back and do things. Build it all, and there's field of dreams, build it and they will come, and then you have a proper jumping off point, and then everything else is just getting people there, onboarding. I just think the misconceptions are that it could be a silver bullet. Oh, I got to do affiliate marketing. Yeah, see this person over here. Yeah, look at AG1. Do you know how long AG1 didn't just I was listening to a podcast when AG1 was no one. They were on podcasts to start. So their journey was not like it just appears that way to everybody. And I can understand how that I get that where you're like, whoa, they're doing amazing. And it's like, well, yeah, because they've been doing it for 5 years, probably, right? They've been promoting, been working behind the scenes to like create this army. It's like you don't see, and now they have a commercial on TV. They have celebrities. Like someone was just asking about an agency in one of our channels that we're in. Of course, I'm not naming names, but this agency was like, yeah, we work with Drake and Beyonce and stuff. I'm like, yeah. And how many tens of thousands of dollars did that cost? Like, you're not just putting your product in front of Drake and he's like, oh, this is amazing, because that's not happening. So I'm like, is this real? Is this real right now? Because, like, I don't know. I might have bought the used car. I might have bought the used car. So just going to be real there.
I love it. Always love your no BS tips
Yeah.
and advice for brands.
I don't know.
Um, okay.
Makes
As
me
we
raise an eyebrow. Makes me go like, okay, let me do a little investigation. I did an investigation and it wasn't good. So always do your homework, always do your homework.
or just
Go down the rabbit
work with
hole.
Clutch Affiliate. Just work with Clutch
No,
Affiliate.
hey, or call us. We'll tell you. You don't even have to work with us. Like, of course, yeah, we'd love that. If you ever have question, like if there's a question, I'd rather see somebody make a good decision than work with us. I'd rather them see and not spend thousands of dollars somewhere where it just they, they lose out.
There's a question from Kristen in the chat, guys. She's asking, where have you seen the most success with outreach, whether it be messaging through social media platforms or emails?
So this is a great question because we used to DM a lot, but now it's changed because our DMs could end up in the message requests and we want quick answers. So what I see, we email by far, email by far, email now, email now. We don't even hardly DM anymore unless we're in there stalking for people that make sense to invite into the program, like people that are sharing about you, which is a really great way to find people because they're already either your customer or they're already loving who you are. But email by far, I would say, and most people in their Instagram profiles have their emails. I just feel like that's pretty common. You just might get stuck in their message requests. That's all. YouTube, now other platforms, they're different. I know that they're different. TikTok acts differently. I mean, TikTok's in a silo, so is Amazon. So it's just really different platform you're playing on. But we try to go email as much as we can. We've seen a great success with that.
And if the platform does integrate with your email, and you can do mass communication using it like a CRM. In Soral's
Yeah,
case, you can send
exactly.
out an email and personalize it with certain tweaks to that platform that look like they're coming directly from your email. And then it's still this, you're doing more than just one
And
by
Saral
one.
DMs too, I think, right? You
You
do it,
can
do you
you can
DM it?
one by one DM, but you can't mass
Yeah,
DM.
yeah,
Insta doesn't allow
yeah,
that. So one, like
yeah,
DMs are not scalable. Two DMs you can only send one DM at a time because you can't follow up over DM, right?
yeah.
And then it might get your account banned if you even if you do DMs manually.
Right.
Like if you send
Good point.
25 DMs, Insta will just ban you. And
Yeah,
25 DMs
exactly.
is like no way to scale your program, right? So email's the best. And then if
Yeah.
you use a platform like Saral, even if the email is not in their bio, but they've mentioned it somewhere else, like in their LinkedIn bio or somewhere like in the contact button on their Instagram, we'll pull that email for you. And emails are scalable. You can email hundreds of people, personalize all the emails, and follow up. Like the money is in the follow up, right? So emails, I think, all day is what I hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I like emails. Plus, if you're DMing, it's all jammed up. I don't know. You gotta. It's just I always pull people off to email too. Like if there's interest, like, hey, we have a program we'd like to talk to you about. Like, can I grab your email? Sure. And then I just take it offline there, and just you can just share more, do more. Just I don't know. I feel like it just works better.
Yeah, I want to go to more of these audience questions because we did have some submissions even before, like when people registered in the last like 10, 15 minutes of our webinar. So I have an interesting question from Gianni here in the chat. And I think they ask, do you ever reverse engineer your ambassador programs? For example, do you ever find a like-minded brand in your ecosystem that talks to the same target audience? Do you ever reverse engineer that community? And I think maybe a follow-up from me on this is, have you ever done affiliate swaps with similar brands? Like if both of your wellness brands is targeting the same audience but a different product altogether, do you ever do swaps? Like what do you think of this whole competitor-driven or informed strategy?
I think I just got a new idea. I think Gianni, thank you. No,
Yeah.
I have not explored that. Honestly, have not explored that, but I think that's a very interesting way to look at things, like a compatible brand, right? So if I'm a peanut butter, a cracker, right? Maybe looking at compatibility or an adjacent brand. I think that's what you're saying. Maybe not a direct competitor, right? So I think that's a very interesting prospect, and I like that. I like that out of the box thinking a lot. Yeah, that's the stuff right there, in my opinion. Always pivoting, always thinking outside the box. How can I get to where I want to go? How's the way? And that's an interesting way to look at it.
Like it. I like it. I think
Yeah.
another question on similar lines to what Rachel asks in the chat is, we had somebody, I think that was Andrew. I don't know if Andrew is in the room with us now, but he asked, he's selling $3,000 luxury custom mattresses and he wants to build an affiliate program. So he's saying that it requires extensive customer contact to make a single sale and so on, and all the complications that come with such a high AOV product. And then Rachel here asked a similar question in the chat, is like, how do you approach affiliate outreach when the brand has a really high value product? Because the cost of goods of just seeding, like you can't mass send
Oh,
$3,000
100.
products, right?
Yeah.
So how do you approach that? Have you worked with a brand similar? How is the strategy different for those types of brands?
Yeah, so that's interesting because obviously you can't send a mattress to everyone, right? Unless they're a celebrity or unless they're somebody that just has a massive following. I mean, you'd have to be highly selective and maybe you give a couple mattresses away a year, right? I think you need to get creative and find other ways that people like if it's strictly online, I don't know if it's strictly online or if there's any way that I could go lay on it in a showroom. Is that possible? Like thinking about ways where you can have people promote that product. We had a similar travel experiences this too, like a cruise line, right? So cruise lines, obviously that's a high ticket item too. Getting strategic on ways, having a strategy on ways that you can engage with people without having to send them like that high value product. Do they have a pillow they could send? I don't know. Sometimes mattresses and pillows, I don't know the whole product line. I'd have to kind of look at it, but I think there are ways you can do it. But yeah, you're not gifting to
Yeah.
people in the same way that some other brands might gift to people. So it's a completely different strategy. And
Well, the hanging fruit, Kim, is finding people that are tagging you on your social media that are your customer
well,
already.
100%. Yeah, great point. Great point. I would go right to your customer base. Actually, thank you. right there.
I knew you were.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect,
That's
perfect
great point.
co-founders.
Yeah, no, I would run to the customer base and then I'd start incentivizing them there too. First out of the gates. Thank you. That's 100% because they already have it.
Or you
So
could
you
do
don't
product exchange, right? Or you could just do like, hey, a $3,000 mattress is basically $1,000 payout. So if you could do a contract and you could just be like, hey, I'm sending you a mattress,
absolutely.
post about it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you could do
Then
that
you
as well.
then the best way to work with influencers, in my opinion, is long term, is building long term relationships, multiple month relationships, because people can see through the bullshit basically these days with authenticity. I mean, I know I guess I'm not going to use myself as an example because I always have that meter up. Like I'm like, come on. But yeah, but even the everyday consumer getting served so much these days.
So, and then maybe one last question we can take, and everyone on the call, if you have more questions, we are approaching the end, so feel free to drop them in the chat. But then I've got one question somebody submitted, I think Mike from Next Level CMO. I don't know if he's here, but then
Oh, that guy?
yeah, he has a
Oh,
question. He
I know, Mike.
asks, amazing. He asks, besides working with individual influencers and creators, are there any other affiliate groups such as coupon sites that make sense for emerging brands? And then maybe I have a question to tack onto this is like, what are some, maybe like a more broader question is, what are some untapped channels? Like now everybody's talking about TikTok Shop and influencer affiliate and social affiliates and so on. What do you think is the next big thing? Where are brands not looking where they can get that delta if they start investing right away?
Well, I think the next big thing is yet to be seen, especially if TikTok shuts down. So where's
Mm,
everybody gonna run to, right?
mm,
I think YouTube is underutilized. I kind of feel Pinterest is a little underutilized. Now you have these other new platforms coming out too,
mm.
but I think that well, let me talk about the first question is okay, so these other affiliates like the cashback, the sub affiliate networks, the coupon sites, you're going to find them on, no offense to Saral, but they're not on Saral, right? They're not in that creator marketplace. They're going to be on a share a sale or an impact or reversion. So you're going to find them there. And there's reputations that they have. So you have to be skilled in understanding. And this is where you would ask someone like us, like, hey, I have a question, right? And you would get a list of maybe those people that to stay away from, and then also that are a good idea. Really depends on your AOV, depends on your product. The last thing I would recommend anybody do is join one of those sites, which you can make sales. You don't want to devalue or cheapen your product. Like the $3,000 mattress guy, I wouldn't suggest that. Um, what I would suggest for the $3,000 mattress guy is PR and a ton of it. And to start locking in with PR and PR affiliate. That's your sauce right there. That's also on top of your customers then promoting about you. So I think it's highly selective. You have to really know when you get into a share sale. Like we manage a few share sales for our clients, and you would be amazed at some of the affiliates that come in and like they're like, "Dear sir or madam," and I'm like, no, mm-mm. Yeah, it's just like, come on. Like, if I was on your side, I'd be writing it so different. Like, maybe that's like another class too. Is like, don't write to me that. Like, tell me what you're doing. Tell me a little bit about do a tiny bit of homework. Like, but there are some like PayPal Honey is getting a lot of they're in a lot of trouble right now. So, and a lot of influencers are really upset. And I've seen it happen firsthand, codes being being stolen, and also links being hijacked. I see it all the time. And I have to, if they don't have an app that's going to make sure that that doesn't happen, like a Veeper or something like that, then you're going to be stuck rectifying those numbers all the time and wondering, oh, did my affiliate community, influencer community make that sale, or did somebody on shares steal it and take it for themselves? Now you're paying double commission. Now you don't really understand your numbers. So it's a crazy Wild West landscape there. On that B2B side, you have to really know what you're doing.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. And then maybe one more question because we have a few more minutes. This is also from Gia at Skinscopic. She asked this question. She asks, gifting versus paid versus affiliate. How would you structure your programs and like budget wise, if you're a new brand, how would you structure it and how would you sort of go from, let's say, free models such as gifting or seeding to then affiliate to then paid? How do you, we usually talk about this like doing a pyramid model, but how do you structure it at Clutch for your clients?
So if it's a new brand, I would go 100%. I would have the, like, if we're doing it in order, affiliate, gifting, and then paid. So I would go out and search for people that you can put the product in their hands, have them try it, have them speak to it, have them talk to their audiences about it, start conditioning them, start driving people to your website, start gifting some people here and there that you have on your wish list. Maybe, you know, you might have people that you follow or that you really like. Oh, I want to send them a gift, no strings attached, the traditional seeding route. And then, of course, you're going to run up against those paid people, highly selective paid relationships. You want to protect your money right now because you're new. You don't have big budgets to spend. You'll be disappointed if you jump into an influencer relationship and you're like, but I didn't get anything. Yeah, you're probably not going to get anything because they're sharing about you one time or two times. That's not going to get you anything. I'm sorry, it's just not. Unless you're doing it at like 10,000 people, yeah, of course you're going to get something. But it's just you have to look at it in that respect.
So if you're starting out, start by minimizing risk, go for the
Yeah,
affiliate or the free sort of product exchange deals, and
build a
then work up.
community.
Yeah, of
Build a
course,
community.
tying it all back together.
Start with
Yeah.
your customers, invite them, always invite your customers, have some criteria, right? So you might not want anybody that has a private account. Sorry, can't work with that. Doesn't help my promotion. So you might want to set some light criteria, send them an email, put it on your socials. Then you start going out and doing recruiting, building your lists, getting product in people's hands that don't know who you are. Their audiences don't know who you are. They align with your brand, they're talking your language. And then, in my opinion, you start looking at those paid relationships. Again, this is for more emerging startup brands that don't have a lot of cash to throw around for paid partnerships. Yeah.
Kim, thank you so much. Lovely
Yeah. Thank you.
insights so far. I think we should definitely do more of these together. But then, final thing, how do, if anybody here wants to get in touch with you or the hundreds of potential people who watch this recording sometime in the future, how do they get in touch with Kim and Lisa if they want to work with Clutch Affiliate?
Yeah, you can our website, I'm not saying it's an awesome website, so in the works. So you can go to clutchaffiliate.com. You can hit us up there. We can share our calendar link. We can yeah, there you go. Happy to have like a 1 hour convo, coach call, whatever it looks like. We just want you to move in the right direction. If it's something that you're looking to do yourself, amazing. We can tell you how to do that. And if you don't want to end up, we just want to talk to people. We want to point them in the right direction. We love the CPG space. We want people to be informed and educated first and foremost before working with us. So that's it. You can reach us there. Happy to chat with you. Drop in our email. Happy to answer questions.
And I can
Hit me up
attest to
on
that.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Hit us up on LinkedIn too. LinkedIn's always a good spot.
For sure. I can attest to
Yeah.
that. I was saying, I think Kim and Lisa are definitely so just selflessly giving to brands always. I see them on Slack, I see them on LinkedIn, I see them in meetups, in conferences, and on calls as well, because of we have a lot of common brands together that are on Saral that also work with Clutch. I've heard only good things. So if anybody is looking to just have a conversation or just speak with Kim or work with them, I think definitely use that Calendly link that's in the chat or hit up Kim or Lisa on LinkedIn and they should be genuinely able to assist. So yeah,
Yeah. And
awesome.
to your point, like there's so much to know. We could do like 5 more of these and
Yeah,
still not scratch the surface. I
yep,
mean, there's just a lot of information.
totally.
So
Yeah, love it. Awesome. Kim,
thanks so much,
everyone
Josh.
else who joined, this was
Thanks,
our very
everyone.
first webinar. Thank you so much for coming in. We're going to do these bi-weekly, so I'll be in touch. We'll send you the recording in case you missed any parts. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.